No, taking it fight by fight, honestly. I do. They asked me that question earlier too. I do think, of course, I think about the rankings. I know what rank. I'm aware of it. I'm just not attached to it.
Yeah. It is pretty neat though, right? I mean, at this point in your career, like I know you're still a young guy, but you've been around for so long. It feels like you're better now, and that's not always the case. Does it feel that way to you though, too? That like you're better now than you've ever been in your career?
Well, definitely. Of course, I am aware of that. I feel like that's what's supposed to happen. We're all supposed to always try and get better, not just as combatants or sportesians or whatever we do in life, but I think as human beings, we're always trying to be a better version of ourselves. That should be the ultimate goal, to bring ourselves closer to ourselves, because once we're born, we're already losing ourselves. We're given a name, we're given an identity, we're given religion, culture, and politics and all that crap, and we don't even know who we are, and we spend the rest of our lives trying to find ourselves. And most people get stuck in a niche, and they stay there thinking that's who they are. And then that's why they never grow, and that's why you have fighters, and just pertaining to my sport from what I've seen, that don't advance or evolve their game because they think that's who they are. I don't know who I am yet, but I know one thing is that whoever I am is infinite, so why stop here?
Always wisdom, man. I like it. The last fight, I want to ask you, I mean, obviously you had to go through some adversity in that one. I wonder, do you take pride in that last fight because of the character and the adversity you had to show, or do you like look at it and go, oh, I shouldn't have had to, put myself in a bad spot?
No, none, never, no remorse and no pride over it. It was just what happened. I can't take credit for that. He had a part to play in it. We knew he was going to be aggressive, and we were practicing that very move. That when he loads up that cross, that we don't have to take a shot. We could just duck the cross and take the back. So it was when I was doing it, it was like, oh wait, we were practicing it. We were just practicing this. But once again, like I said, I try not to have any attachments to my thoughts. I just go with the motion because that's all that matters at the moment. Having any attachment puts you in the past or in the future. So we just have to let go and be.
Very nice. In between, got to see you do some grappling as well. I'm curious, like, kind of what you take out of that. I mean, do you get the same experience or joy or pleasure out of competing in grappling that you do in a mixed martial arts fight?
It's definitely less nerve-wracking, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like I can go a lot more ham in grappling matches. Like, I can just take more risk and stuff like that. I'm not worried more about getting punched in the face and stuff. So, but no, it's fun. It's fun. It's great to do it. I feel like it helps me become more comfortable in grappling. I feel like that's been the biggest evolution of my game so far, is becoming more comfortable in grappling. Not necessarily going for more takedowns, but the fact that when the fight does get into close quarters combat, I'm not shying away from it. I'm not trying to break apart and get back to striking. I can really grind it out, and I enjoy being there. I used to not like it, but now I really like grinding, so it's just, I don't know, it's cool.
That's awesome. So you get this matchup with Sodiq, knowing that you don't watch a lot of fights and things like that. Did you know anything about him? Are you aware of what he brought to the table?
Yeah, we definitely know that because we called him out almost a year ago, and we tried to get that fight before, but they turned it down. Maybe he was still injured or whatever, and he's coming back because I know he had a big layoff. But we know that he's very similar to the last guy I fought. He's going to come straight in. He's going to walk you down. He's going to try and load up that cross. And I know with lefties, from what I've seen, he likes to reach that lead hand out and paw forward and try and suck you into that power side. So I see similarities. But yeah, we could utilize some of the same game plan. But honestly, when I get out there, I tend to adjust myself according to the situation. So, but yeah, he's a good opponent. He's tough. We know he's going to be in shape. We know he's going to be strong. The last guy was too. He hit hard as hell. But it's nothing that I never seen before, and it's nothing that I'm not prepared for. I'm always prepared to lose, which I believe allows me to be prepared to win even more readily.
Another win here. You're going to be moving up those rankings that you're a part of right now. I mean, I know you don't let yourself get too involved in it, but do you look at it and see like, oh, where would I end up? What matchup would that give me? What opportunities would that give to me?
I don't think about it like that. I just notice, like, okay, if I beat this guy, then I take his spot. Other than that, but I don't know. Like, I never really thought, like, oh my God, I'm just like, okay, I'm ranked now. If anything, I think about more like, how much are they paying me for this fight next year? But other than that, I'm not I really can't find importance. Honestly speaking, I can't find importance in achieving more status or more fame or more glory through fighting. I find more importance in speaking with people and sharing my philosophies, my mind with them, because I feel like I tend to open up people's trains of thoughts sometimes when I start talking. And I find more enjoyment in that, honestly, but I just love fighting. I just love to get in there, and I didn't even try to get into UFC. If a lot of people don't even know that. My brother just took me to a tryout one time. I didn't know they existed, and I just tried out. And that's how I got on the Ultimate Fighter show, because I would have been just doing this somewhere else, if anything, but so I never really thought, this was never my goal. Then I'm being honest. I love what I do, and I'm gonna do the very best I can fucking do, and I'm gonna try and win every single fight, but I don't care to at the same time.
That's awesome. I guess that gives you some freedom, like you said. Last question for me, I guess. Where do you see this? I mean, how much longer does this journey go? Where does it? It's so amazing to see. I mean, you've grown up in front of us. You're clearly at peace. You're fighting better than you ever have. How long does this journey go on? Where does it take you?
Well, I guess if I set up one little lofty goal, was just to be the fighter with the longest running active career. And I know I'm closing in on the top guy right now who has 11 years, 11 and a half. And I think after one more year, I'm hitting 12. So I beat him out of the water. And now I figured I've seen fighters be fighting for a lot longer. So if I make it to 42, that's 20 years. Let's see who tops that.
It's funny you say that you're growing into being comfortable on the ground, and if it gets to that, I think when I first saw you, I always thought when you came on the scene that you were this guy with great submission skills and that you were growing into your hands. I thought lately that you've been more and more comfortable with your hands than ever before. But in your mind, is it switched? Were you more of a striker at first, and then now you feel like you're more of a grappler, or where did you see yourself when you came in as to where you are now?
So when I first started, I definitely was more of a wrestler and grappler. That's where I started training martial arts. That's what I was introduced to, you know. So I definitely found myself submitting a lot of people more, but I also had pretty good striking. But I noticed that my striking would always be stifled because I would always have to watch out for wrestling, takedowns, and jiu-jitsu, and I wasn't as good as it. I see that you can see that my striking is getting better now. I'm getting more comfortable in striking because I'm more comfortable in wrestling. Because I know that the guy tries to take me down, I can stand it back up, or I can take him down and bring it to the floor if I need to. I feel more comfortable on my feet because now I'm not worried about getting taken down or getting bunched up or grabbed or whatnot.
What I've always loved about your style, you know, which always kind of harkens back to the kung fu and being like water and flowing, you know, I think when most people think of martial arts, they think that, you know, some of that stuff is only good in martial arts, but does that stuff still shape your striking and when you go to become a better striker now? Because I think a lot of people think about MMA, oh, it's got to be short to the point, you know, quick, nasty elbows, maybe less beautiful strikes, but do you feel that there's still a point for that art of, like, you know, kung fu and letting that shape your striking going forward?
Well, definitely. I like to be as creative as possible, try to be as open as possible. I don't think I feel like the better fights that I had against opponents that were more, you know, straightforward and to the point, you know, like, because then it's hard to deal with my movement, my agility, and my craftiness. So, no, definitely, I believe that there is a lot more room to grow in that. I think my jiu-jitsu is uniquely tweaked because of that. I try to flow into things, and you take less damage. One of the doctors that was like after when I got that knee to the face, he was like, oh, I saw what you did. You know, the reason why I think I know why you didn't get knocked out, because once the knee was coming in, you were already moving with the knee instead of just taking it. So, and I notice I do that when I do get hit, I try to roll with the punches as much as possible. But that's a part of letting go. That's a part of not holding on to your stance. It's like, okay, he got it this time, got to go with it so I take less damage and then go on to the next one. So, it's just, yeah, just letting go of any attachment that you might have.
Is it tough, you know, as the fight gets more grueling and as the rounds go on to kind of center yourself back to that? Is it tough, or does your corner, you know, are they able to say something to you to help you kind of get back into that mindset? No,
I feel like as the fight goes on and the more damage is done, the more comfortable I get with fighting, honestly. The longer the fight goes on, the more comfortable I get in there. It's always the beginning that is the most nerve-wracking or the most, I guess, jumbled up in your brain. But once I start getting into it, once I took that illegal knee and I stood up, if you guys noticed, I didn't take no injury time. I tried to get in there as immediately as possible. I felt super comfortable. Like, right there, like, okay, this is his best shot. You know, I just got to make sure not to get hit like that again. It hurt and it works, but it just won't happen again. And then now I'm in the zone. Now I can see his range and catch his timing.
Last thing for me, I love the way that your brain works. I love the spiritual, but the mental side, the meditation side. So I guess if you could take us in your head in a session where, say, you want to sit down and center and meditate yourself, what sort of things are you using when you're trying to focus and meditate? What things are you thinking in your head? For those of us that like to try meditation, what works for you when you go into a little session?
Well, honestly, the best that I can do is just focus on my breath. I try to breathe deep into my belly, expand my diaphragm, and then push out starting with my belly to contract my diaphragm and take out all the stagnant air. But I try to focus on my breath. I try to follow my breath, ride on it all the way down, move throughout my body and follow it back out. And once I start focusing on the breath, everything else starts to fall away. You start to not detach yourself to the random thoughts coming in at you. Sometimes I like to focus right here in between my eyebrows, but nothing on a particular thought or anything. I'm just focusing on my breath, focusing on the only thing that's really real, the moment now. Everything else is really just a projection of our own illusions. But other than that, the only thing that's real right now, I know that I breathe, I stay alive. And I know the more I breathe, the better I feel. And I focus on my breath, and everything else doesn't matter.
I love it. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Alex,
Oh, there you are.
are you still not eating dairy and processed meats?
Yeah, I'm a completely vegan. I've been vegan for the past 10 years now.
Oh, really?
10 or 12, something like that. I don't know, I forget.
Oh, I was just going to say, how's that going?
Beautiful. I love it. I don't think, once again, I don't think about it. It's just the way that I do things. The reason why I was deterred is because I saw how it's obtained. And like he was mentioning before, I'm a big follower of martial arts, especially Kung Fu, ancient styles of martial arts. And the Shaolin monks are actually one of the people I looked up to, and what got me into more Kung Fu, especially because, and one of the biggest things, their biggest philosophy is to do no harm. And they're all vegetarian, they're all, or vegan, you know, and that's how I want to live my life. I want to try and do as little harm as possible as I achieve myself.
Awesome. And finally, there's those infamous YouTube videos of you street fighting. I just wanted to kind of go back and how did you, do you remember how you got there in the first place?
Yeah, I was training at the time it was called Young Tigers Foundation, and a guy named Level Martinez, who was a street fighter back in the day too, around the same time when Kimbo was coming up. And we rolled and we sparred a lot, and he said, "Oh man, you're pretty good, man. Hey, you want to come out and fight for us in the backyards?" Because I guess like he was a part of the Latin syndicates and stuff, and he wanted me to represent their squad as we go out there and fight. And I'm like, all right, that'll be cool. You know, are they gonna pay me? And like, yeah, they'll pay you. So they're paying me like $600 a person if I beat them up, and sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 fights in the day. But no, it was fun. That's how I got into it though. A friend of mine, Level Martinez.
Gotcha, cool. Thank you.
All right, that's all.